no country. It's even hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for. No religion to imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. Hope someday you'll join us, and the world will live as one. Imagine their possessions. I wonder if you can. Or hunger, the brotherhood of men. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. Hope someday you'll join us, and the world will live as one.
Aloof, drunk with desire to see still more. Then the valley begins to unfold beneath you, revealing herself, lying back before you, with all she has to offer to the brave of heart, like you up there with the clouds.
So nice there. That's why I wrote the song. I have to say goodbye when I look on the cloud. My old friend, I will see you again. I don't know when, but I will see you again. Oh, the memories we made. Oh, the fun things we did. We learned together. Happiness will last forever. Goodbye, old friend. I will see you again. I don't know when, but I will see you again. Oh, old friend, I will see you again. I don't know when, but I will see you again. Oh.
Write a speech. I just wanted to I honestly don't know most of you people, but we all knew Marie, and through Marie we know each other. Marie was an amazing woman. I was lucky enough to live next to her when I was growing up. Jesse John was kind of like my older brother, so in a way Marie was like another mother. And I'm lucky for it. She was just such an amazing woman. The fact that she would go on a skate, that's where I met her, the camping. Everybody knows her as Grandma Hike, right? Everybody else here? Right. That's how I got to know her, and I was lucky enough about 3 or 4 years ago to go back on a skate and go do that. And in a way I felt like I was paying for my childhood, like all the times I was drained on it. Now I'm helping for it. And there's one thing that really stood out for me in that situation. And it was the simplest thing, it was the silliest thing, but to me, like, I've carried it away and it still means something. I was, as Lisa Jane's probably used to, where's she at? Making peanut butter and jelly sandwiches.
Yeah.
You gotta make a lot of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, that's just part of it. And Marie came up to me afterwards and told me, wow, that was the best peanut butter. Like, what did you do? Like, I had a special recipe? Like, there was some kind of secret? Like, it's bread, peanut butter, and jelly, but she made me feel so special. And I told her my trick. I'll tell you guys, but don't tell anybody else. You got to get the peanut butter and jelly all the way out the edge. Because nobody likes the crust. The crust is too dry. It's a secret. Don't tell anybody. But she made me feel so good about just making a peanut butter and jelly sandwich for some kids that...
She meant it.
And she meant it. Like, she wasn't patronizing me. It was just amazing. So that's who she was. She could take the simplest thing and see, and like, I was just helping doing this and that, making this and she made me feel great about it. I was so happy. Oh, let's go on a hike and let's go teach some kids about this stuff. And that's who she was. This is such an amazing celebration of life. It's sad, but it also means so much that we felt that much about Marie. Like, all of us. I don't know how free you are. Probably 3/4 you. But I'm so glad that I get the chance to meet you, and she would love this. And thank you. That's it.
And our daughter Amy wrote this letter for
It's in the book
that
too.
Lisa Jane was talking about.
Is it easy enough to read off there?
Yes. It says, Aunt Mary Elise, I've been thinking about you a lot lately, and I want you to know that. I don't know when the right times are to say these things, but one thing I have learned since Brad's dad passed is that you can't wait to tell people how you feel. So perhaps the right time is all along. I want you to know how much you have done for me and my future. Yes, my future, because you have instilled in me the need to be in the mountains. And to the mountains I will go. I will go with my future kids, and I will one day finally get Brad up in the High Sierra too. You have given me some of my greatest memories of all time with Escape. Escape was my summer refuge, and your courage to take so many rowdy kids into the mountains still amazes me. You took me across the world to New Zealand and invited me across our continent too. I'm sorry I didn't make it for that. I loved our fairly recent backpacking trips, although the mosquitoes almost drove us mad. But what a good story that is now. In a family with so many people, I think it can be difficult to make connections with everyone, but I believe in my connection with you. I hope one day that we will be in the mountains again, hiking up to a pass. And then when we make it to the top, you will listen to the chatter and laugh at the goofiness of it all. There was no laughing on top of Muir Pass on our John Muir Trail trip, when I was so angry about food, of all things. But of course, food is the precious commodity out there. But we really had a nice hike together on the way down. If I recall correctly, I had a huge blister and was in terrible pain. But you stayed with me the whole way. I think you mentioned that same hike in your book. I was and still am so proud to have made it into your book. I hope you can forgive me for being somewhat distant over the past couple years, but I haven't stopped thinking about it and enjoying so many backpacking and traveling memories. They tend to keep me going when I'm doing something I'm not very interested in, work mostly. When I go into those Sierras, even if you can't go with me, you will always be there. Love, Amy.
I didn't prepare anything, but I did remember something, and I just thought it would be cool to talk about. If Stu and Mom, so much horrible beauty in that form of sickness. And there's this like huge motivational honesty that you get out of watching somebody suffer with so much courage. And there's moments that she was so weak, but she would still walk, even though shaking just with every bit of her just to stand up and walk, and she wouldn't use the wheelchair or let us help her. She would want to do everything herself. I think it's really important for people to see that, because I got a lot of motivational courage out of it. Because it was beautiful, horrible, but beautiful to watch that kind of courage. Towards the end, the very end, she was having a really hard time breathing. And there was a lot of terrible suffering, and we were all sitting around, and when I grew up, when I was little, I had a really hard time. I was in the hospital until I was like 13, pretty much all the time, with a lot of different sicknesses. I had like 9 transfusions and all kinds of horrible shit. And I remember one time I was trying to breathe, and I was really having a hard time breathing, and I was like, how do I breathe? I can't breathe. And she said you just keep breathing. And when she was going through that time and she was breathing, I just couldn't get that out of my head. But then it was like you just wanted to not suffer anymore, you know. So it's important to me for people to know that this woman just did not give up ever, not until the last breath. I swear she did not ever give up. And nobody should ever give up on anything. And I'm a testament to that. And if there's anything she can give to you guys, anybody, that would be the one thing I think she would want to pass to the future.
My grandma, I called her grandma, and Jesse John, and she gave it to me when I was in 3rd grade, and I've had it in a frame ever since then. And we've moved to different countries, I've moved all over, and I don't know how I didn't lose it, but I've always had it. Actually, I'm going to this. So I have this framed picture of Jesse John and Grandma in my house forever. And about a week ago, I decided I want to move out, and I want to like clear up all my stuff. And so I take it out of the frame. And on the back is a letter I never even knew she wrote. And so I'm like, oh my God. And Gary's like, why are you crying? I'm like, where's the letter? Like, I didn't know I had this. And the very last sentence is, I love you, and tell everyone that I feel close. And I feel like she was telling me to tell you guys that she's here, she feels close. And I don't know why, but I think there's a reason why. I never knew about this letter, and I think it just popped up at the right time. And the weird thing about it is it's signed all of the names that we call her. Like, it's not signed Grandma, it's signed Marie Mom, Mary Lise, and Grandma. And so I just think she wanted me to tell you guys that she feels close and that she loves us and she's going to be with us forever. So I just wanted you to know that.
Right, who is Mary Elise's brother. Mary Elise was the first person to welcome me into the McNaughton family, which is kind of a scary family. There's a lot of them. And the most welcoming, kind, sweet person. She helped me make my wedding dress. And she made the best pie crust I ever had. She really did. And you know, if you ever made a pie crust, it's not the easiest thing to make good, and she was a pro at it. She did dahlias that were this big, dinner plate dahlias. They were amazing. And she was just a wonderful, wonderful person.
So, I am Lisa, and I am Greg's wife, and this is not easy. Well, I mean, I don't think any of this is easy, but one of the things that, the way I was raised in a home of fear. Like, don't do that, no, don't do that, no, it's probably not a good idea because this could happen. don't do that. And so I never really pursued any of my dreams. I didn't even know I had dreams. And then I met Greg, and he had all these really big ideas. And I really liked this guy. Because, like, anything was possible. Like, he just wanted to do all of it and everything. He started this new business. And I flew up, and I met his family, and his mom sort of, like, gave me, like, all the questions, like, so are you going to, like, college? What are you studying? And I was really embarrassed because I wasn't. I decided that I just wanted to work because it worked for me. And I was okay with that. And then we got married, and they welcomed me with open arms because that's how they are. They are very loving, and whoever, they have enough, Stu and Marie had enough confidence in the way they raised their children that when their children brought home their soon-to-be spouses, they were like, okay, they are family, and we welcome them. And so Greg and I were married, and we had kids, and I remember talking to Marie, and anytime I had an idea about how to raise the kids or with school, or when we found out Aiden was autistic and all these different things, that I would go to her. And what seemed like problems to me were non-problems to her. She was just like, well, Lisa, you just do this, and step 1, step 2, step 3. And then something else would happen, and oh, well, Lisa, you know, well, you just do this and you do that. And that is sort of the way she lived her life. In my eyes, is I feel like I was a newcomer. She just did it. Something would come up, and she would just like, okay, we take 1 step forward and 2 steps forward and 3 steps forward. We grab our hiking poles and we grab our bags, and then we like tackle this problem. And she never dwelled on the bad, and the bad was never bad. It was just an obstacle that we could overcome. And it was one of the most amazing things that she left me with is they're never problems. They're just obstacles that we have to get through. And I love her, and I miss her deeply, and I wish that she could see the things that we're doing and the problems we are tackling and the problems we plan to tackle and the adventures we plan to tackle. And I want her to be excited and happy, and I know that she'll always be with us. I know that she'll always be excited, but I'm so glad that she instilled in me that this is not a problem. This is a non-problem. Like, what are we gonna do to get through this? And this is not this is cool. A problem is when you run out of water and there's no water and your filter is broken, and that is it's too cold and you don't have the right backpack, and that is a problem, and this is a non-problem. And I love her for putting things in her perspective for me, and for instilling the love of nature and the outdoors and adventure in my husband, and for him for instilling that in our children. I'm so excited to carry on her legacy of just taking life not for granted, and just every day is this new adventure, and every day is something that we can just grab a hold of and do and make something amazing out of it. And I will never forget that, and I will always be so thankful for that, and I will be so thankful for bringing my love into the world, to give me the children I have, all 3 of them, and to do these wonderful adventures that we have together. And I will miss her incredibly, but her legacy lives on in all of us, and all the things that we love to do now. And that's just all I want to say.
And I was principal at Pleasant Valley School. Her legacy is with hundreds and hundreds of children who have the love of nature. I am thankful not only of, I remember the day when she came for the interview, when she was the last candidate. And I wasn't sure if any of the other young, exciting teachers were the one we wanted. But when Marie came into that office for that interview, within 10 minutes, we found her. She is so bright, so articulate, so loving. And it was a wonderful, I like to say, one of the feathers I'd like to put in my cap is seeing that she came to Nevada County, because she was such a gifted teacher. But I'd also like to thank Marie as a parent. My children, Kristen, and my son Patrick, who was here earlier, profound impact it had on them when they went to escape. And both of them went to Grand Canyon and to the Havasu Indian tribe down at the base of the canyon, and that has left such an impact on them. So I just want to add to what the family has been saying about her legacy. Her legacy is so much bigger, with hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of children who she was such a dear, dear teacher, and so gifted, but also had a connection with teenagers which was really unique. She understood them, and she could talk to them and communicate with them in such a way that was so powerful. So I'm so appreciative of this opportunity to thank her publicly and to thank this wonderful family. What a gifted and artistic family you are. And God bless you.
Thank you.
I love you, and as much as I miss you, please. Dear Grandma, I love you, and as much as I miss you, I know you're in heaven because you're so delicate and sweet like silver candy. I remember the day I first saw you like it was today, crystal clear. And I remember when I told you about school and how I was doing. And please be happy because I think you might be looking down at us that we said. But you passed on and I got it covered. I'm trying to lift our spirit up, and when I said I meant all of us, family, and how much it is with Stu. How is it with Stu? I hope you're happy. And know you're happy. Douglaston misses you, and Stu, wait, you need to. Okay, better. Okay. Sometimes I look up at the sky and I see you, but it's not really because I see flashbacks, and yeah.
Hello everyone, I'm Dan Riffle. Cody's my little brother. I was Jesse's best friend growing up, very close to the Hoffmans. I was driving over Tioga Pass last week towards 395, and I stopped and had a very strong memory of Marie that was very powerful and amazing, and I savored the moment of it and realized that I believe it was the sage that really made me kick this memory for me. Any of us that have been hiking and backpacking in the high alpine area is very familiar with this high country, high Sierra sage. And I guess I just like to start it here. If people want to smell it, if it brings them back a little bit to it, it helps. But I was lucky enough to hike the entire John Muir Trail with Marie and Jesse and Daniel and Danny. And because Marie had started me backpacking when I was about 7, it was a feat that I was able to accomplish. And I still look back on it as probably one of the greatest accomplishments of my life. And I would have never even had the chance without it. Sage is also a noun. Person of great wisdom, person of legendary status. And I'm going to do my best to make sure that my children know the legend of Marie Coffin. And for the entire family, I'm so sorry, guys. I feel for this. I love you guys. Let me know if you guys need anything.
My nose. I'm Laura. I'm Jesse John's wife and mother to Adeline, the youngest grandchild. I first met Marie when I came out to meet Jesse. He invited me to their annual camping trip to Tahoe. First impression was I was 2 hours late because I was totally lost, because I perpetually lost in time and space. Can I interject something? Yes.
She bounced in with a guitar on her back, a bag of cherries, and a little white sundress. She wouldn't have added that.
I bumbled in lost with that whole getup. And she came marching. She was wearing a fanny pack, a hat, and a backpack. And she was out for a day hike. And are you Laura? We found her! And she marches me over to the family. And all I can do is throw cherries at them and try to run away with Jesse a little bit because I was pretty intimidated and overwhelmed. One of the hardest parts for me is that I feel like in a lot of ways I was still really getting to know her, and a lot of our bonding happened mostly in the last 2 years, and I just wanted to share that to me I've never met someone with such integrity, someone so humble but with so much depth and complexity, and I'd always feel that at every point I was just learning how much more there was to learn about her. And as a mother, she to me is and will continue to be the standard to which I refer if I ever need to know whether I'm doing things remotely right. And I'm very grateful that she took me into this beautiful family. You're all just amazing and brilliant. I can't comprehend how so many wonderful, beautiful people can be in one family. And I'm so incredibly grateful to be a part of it. And I will continue to miss her. And I will continue to reflect on everything she taught me, even as I mature enough to understand everything else. That's all, sorry.
But so be it. Some people want something more intimate and fewer people, but I clearly, from all the letters I received and messages and emails and texts, and it was clear to me that people needed somewhere to collect and share.
This is where she would have wanted to be. This is where she's at.
Yeah,
Here.
Like this.
but that was my motivation. It was partially
She would
selfish.
have
'Cause
said, "This is not a problem."
It's fine.
It's a
It's
problem.
fine.
I
Stop
just-
worrying about it, Lisa Jane. It's fine.
I'm not worried. I'm just sharing that I recognize that it's not ideal for everyone, but that the fact that you came and shared is pretty awesome
It's great.
for all of us.
It was really great. Thank you, everyone.
Lisa Jane,
who
it's
helped.
nice to hear people outside the family say things.
It's pretty like earth shattering, isn't it? These letters my mom was receiving, what people were saying, and the fact that she was like, "What's the big deal?" It's like, well, Mom, that's exactly why it's a big deal, because you're totally clueless of the impact
She
you've
didn't
made.
get that.
No, it was
Last
pretty
day
funny.
We were talking about it.
I did get to meet your mom
Yeah. So, slideshow, Jesse?
Yeah.
All right.